Hey everyone, welcome back to Mindful English. I'm Sarah, and I'm sitting here with Liam.
Hey everyone, good to be here.
Liam, have you ever felt like you sound like a 5-year-old when you talk about your feelings in English?
I was talking to one of our listeners the other day, and she said, Liam, in my native language, I am a funny, complex, deep person. But when I try to talk about my feelings in English, I sound like a 5-year-old.
Oh, the fluency gap. You have this massive, complex adult brain, but because you lack the exact vocabulary, you are forced to use the most basic, flat words available.
Exactly. If you have a terrible day at work and you feel completely exhausted and unappreciated, but the only English words you know are, I am sad, or I am bad, you lose all the nuance of your personality.
And if you want to build deep, authentic relationships in English, whether that is making a new best friend, dating, or just having a real conversation with a coworker, you have to upgrade your emotional dictionary. You have to move beyond good, bad, sad, and mad.
So today we are breaking down the 5 main human emotions, and we are giving you 30 highly specific English adjectives to perfectly describe your inner world. By the end, you will never have to say, I'm fine or I'm bad, ever again.
Let's dive right in. Category 1, beyond tired. Because as adults, we are never just tired.
We really aren't. Let's start with the physical feeling. If you didn't sleep well and your body just feels incredibly heavy and slow, like you are trying to walk through deep mud, you feel sluggish.
But what if it's deeper than that? What if you just finished a massive 3-month project at work? Your internal battery is completely at 0%. You aren't just sluggish, you are drained. You have absolutely no energy left to give anyone.
And if you stay drained for too long, you eventually feel weary. Weary is a beautiful, heavy word. It means you are deeply tired in your soul, usually from carrying a heavy burden for a long time.
And if that burden is chronic stress from overworking, you become burnt out. When you are burnt out, you don't just need a nap, you need a vacation. Because if you ignore it, you become lethargic, meaning you have zero motivation to do anything. And finally, completely exhausted, meaning your physical and mental strength is entirely gone.
That is a huge difference between just being tired and being burnt out.
Now, let's look at category 2, beyond stressed.
This is so common for our listeners. If you're sitting at your desk and you just have a vague, uncomfortable feeling in your stomach that something isn't right, you feel uneasy.
But if that feeling is tied to a specific future event, like waiting to take your English proficiency exam, you feel apprehensive. You are nervously dreading the outcome.
Right. And what if the stress is happening right now? If you have way too many emails, meetings, and demands hitting you all at once, you feel overwhelmed. It literally feels like a massive wave of water is crashing over your head.
And when that wave hits, you might start rushing around in a blind panic trying to fix everything. That means you are frantic.
But sometimes the anxiety doesn't make you rush, it makes you freeze. If a fear is so intense that you physically cannot move or think, you are petrified, which means you are frozen with fear like a stone. Or you might say you are completely restless, meaning you have so much nervous energy that you physically cannot sit still.
Let's turn the heat up to category 3, beyond mad. Anger has so many different volume levels.
It really does. Volume level 1 is when a mosquito is buzzing in your ear, or your Wi-Fi keeps disconnecting. You are irritated. It is a minor, surface-level annoyance.
But volume level 2 is when you are actively trying to achieve a goal and a roadblock keeps stopping you. You feel frustrated. It is that heavy, ugh, feeling of being stuck.
Now, what if the anger comes from a place of injustice? If you see a coworker taking credit for your hard work, you feel indignant. It is anger mixed with a deep sense of moral unfairness.
And if you hold on to that unfairness for months or years, you become resentful. Resentment is sticky anger with a long memory. If you let it sit inside you for too long, your whole personality becomes bitter, meaning you have a sour, negative outlook on life because of past hurt.
And if someone crosses an unforgivable boundary right in front of you, you bypass all of those and become furious. That is explosive, red-hot, loud anger.
Now let's cool the temperature down and look at category 4, beyond sad. Because sadness isn't always a bad thing. Sometimes it is just a quiet mood.
It is. If you are deeply serious and unsmiling, usually because you just heard some bad news, you are somber.
But what if the sadness is almost poetic? Like watching the rain fall or listening to a quiet piano song. That is when you feel melancholic. It is a gentle, reflective sadness.
And if that reflection makes you deeply miss your childhood or your home country, you feel nostalgic. It is a sweet, yearning kind of sadness.
But if the sadness is toxic and steals your hope for the future, you feel despondent. You feel like nothing will ever get better. And if a sudden tragedy strikes, you are devastated, meaning your heart is completely shattered.
And sometimes, when you open up about that devastation to a friend, you feel incredibly vulnerable, meaning you are completely emotionally exposed and unprotected.
Which naturally leads us to our final, brightest category. Category 5, beyond happy. We need better words for joy.
We do. If you are sitting on your couch with a cup of tea and you are perfectly satisfied with the present moment, you are content.
If you take that contentment and remove all your mental stress, your mind becomes completely clear and serene. And from that serene place, you can look at the future and feel optimistic, meaning you expect good things to happen.
And when those good things do happen, your happiness becomes visible. You look radiant, meaning you are literally glowing with health and joy.
If you get an unexpected promotion at work, you are thrilled. A sudden spike of intense excitement.
And the absolute highest level of human happiness? When you are jumping up and down, completely overwhelmed by joy. You are ecstatic.
That is the absolute peak. And Liam, listening to us walk through those 30 words, it just proves how colorful the English language really is. Our listeners don't have to be trapped in the black and white world of basic vocabulary anymore.
They don't. You can give your brain the exact vocabulary it needs to show the world who you really are.
Now, to make sure you have these 30 adjectives ready for your next conversation, let's do a quick review.
Let's walk through the 5 emotional categories, starting with category 1, exhaustion. If your body is just sluggish and slow, you are sluggish.
But if your internal battery is completely empty, you are drained. If you are tired in your soul from carrying a heavy burden, you are weary.
Chronic stress from overworking leaves you totally burnt out, which drains your motivation and makes you lethargic.
Until your physical and mental strength is entirely gone, leaving you exhausted. Now for category 2, anxiety. If you feel a vague, slight discomfort, you are uneasy.
But if you are dreading a specific future event, you are apprehensive. When too many demands hit you at once, you feel completely overwhelmed.
And if you rush around in a blind panic trying to fix it, you are frantic. If the fear freezes you completely, you are petrified, like a stone.
Or you might have so much nervous energy you can't sit still, making you restless. Let's turn to category 3, anger. A tiny, minor annoyance makes you feel irritated.
But if an obstacle blocks you from your goal, you are frustrated. If you see something morally unfair, you feel indignant.
If you hold on to that unfairness for years, you become resentful. And that long-term resentment makes your whole personality bitter and sour.
But if the anger is explosive, immediate, and red hot, you are furious. Let's cool down with category 4, sadness. A heavy, serious, unsmiling mood means you are somber.
A gentle, poetic, and quiet sadness is melancholic. If that sadness is a sweet longing for the past, you feel nostalgic.
But a toxic sadness that destroys your hope makes you feel despondent. A sudden, heart-shattering tragedy leaves you devastated.
And when you share that devastation with someone, you feel completely emotionally exposed and vulnerable. But finally, we reach category 5, joy. Peaceful, quiet satisfaction means you are content.
A deeply calm, clear, and untroubled mind is serene. When you expect great things from the future, you are optimistic.
When your happiness is so strong that you physically glow, you are radiant. A sudden burst of intense excitement means you are thrilled.
And the absolute highest, most overwhelming level of joy means you are completely ecstatic.
And if you want more expressions for describing emotions and personality, check the pinned comment below.
You stop relying on simple, childlike words, and you start sounding like the intelligent, nuanced adult you truly are.
So here's our challenge. Which of these 30 adjectives best describes your current mood today?
Are you feeling content, sluggish, or totally thrilled? Tell us in the comments.
And if this episode helped you upgrade your emotional vocabulary, if it gave you the words to show the world who you really are, share it with someone who's learning English.
And guys, adjectives are just the beginning. Today in episode 1, we learned how to accurately name the feeling. But next week in episode 2, we are going to learn how to describe the physical action of the feeling. We are going to teach you the dynamic, visual phrasal verbs native speakers use when their emotions actually erupt. You won't want to miss it.
Stay grounded. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.